Right, try again. Just tried to record this and got interrupted with a phone call. Okay. I wanted to have a quick chat about this, and I wanted to give it its own video. Now, as most of you know, I'm in the process of filming my second film with James Grealish from JG Films, under construction too. And as part of this, we've been meeting different people who basically have pushed the boundaries of what they do, all in this sort of catchphrase of set no limits. Now, in this, I've been speaking to a few female bodybuilders. Now, up to press, I haven't had one agree to be interviewed. For the simple reason is I want to talk about everything, and that's the sex industry and drug use, etc, etc, etc. And all the amateurs have turned around and said, it's not worth it, it'll ruin my competitive career. And all the pros have said it's not worth it, they'll take my pro card off me. Now, the strange thing is that, on the whole, the females that I have spoke to, particularly pro level, are quite low users. So, it begs, it gets you thinking, well, if they're low users, then surely it's a good thing that they talk about their usage, because they've all said the same thing, that they get approached by a lot of women who are using very large amounts, and amounts that in their opinions just aren't necessary. And there's too much focus on the drugs and not enough focus on diet and training hard, and a lot of women feel that they can't train like men, etc, etc, and they have to do a different form of training because they're female, which is bollocks. You're muscle mass, so you train hard to create growth. It's as simple as that. So, the federations, and I'm not picking on any particular one, don't allow their pro-female athletes to talk about drug use. Those athletes are telling me that in a large percentage of women that contact them, drug abuse is prolific. And the women really are thinking they need to use a lot more than they do. So surely, wouldn't it be in the interest of female bodybuilding to allow these people to talk about their drug use? Female bodybuilding has taken quite a few turns of recent years. Female bodybuilding no longer really exists as we knew it, and we now have physique. And this is all an attempt to make the class more feminine and go away from the masculine look that the heavily muscled girls were starting to get. They want a more commercial and more sellable product, which in turns would encourage a lower level of drug use. So surely it's a good idea that they talk about it. Just doesn't make sense to me. Why the fuck would you stop someone who is at the peak of their career, who women look up to as a role model, from saying, look, you don't need to use that much shit. I only use this amount. I've created this physique because I train like a fucking banshee, and I stick to my diet, and I'm dedicated to what I do. So surely that would make more sense. And then the other topic that they wouldn't be willing to talk about is the sex industry. Now, not all female models get involved in this, and I'm not saying they do, but there is a percentage that does, and it's significant. And, why won't you talk about that? Well, it'll ruin my career. But you're doing that to fund your career because your sport is so poorly rewarded. The prize money for women is penance compared to the prize money for men. And the opportunities for sponsorship. How many supplement companies out there do you see their mainline athlete being a female bodybuilder? You don't. So they struggle financially, and their costs are no less than the men. In some cases, maybe even more. So surely it's a good thing to say, look, I don't particularly want to do this, but I'm forced into this because it's the only way I can finance my career. Because as a sport, we're not looked after, we're not financed, we're not given good sponsorship deals, we're not given financial reimbursement, and even at the top of the Miss Olympia, the prize money compared to the Mr. Olympia is peanuts. It just, I don't know, maybe it's just me, I just find it nuts. They go on about, they want to minimise drug use, they want to keep people healthy, they don't want a bad image for the sport. Then pay the fucking women some money. then they won't have to do this shit. Because they will be able to afford their careers. Is that right? Seems right to me. I don't know. It's like criticising someone on a low income wage for claiming financial support from the government. Well, then pay them a decent fucking wage and they won't have to. These ladies work as hard as anyone else. In some cases harder. For me walking down the street, in fact it was quite strange, I went out in York yesterday and I got approached by 3 people for conversation about my size and what I did, or photographs. Now the strange thing was, none of these were people that trained. Now I normally get approached by people that train, but one was quite an old, well in fact they were all quite mature to be honest, and probably average age of about 55 plus. Now, these are people I wouldn't expect to have an understanding. But because I'm a bloke, all I'm doing is making myself more blokey, more manly. The bigger I am, the more muscled I am, the more of a man I am. I don't think that way, but it's how it's perceived. I'm increasing my masculinity in a sense, visually. Doesn't make me any more of a man in any way, shape or form, but socially that's how it's looked at. But a woman who increases the muscle mass is deemed as being a lesbian or wanting to be a man because she's making herself look like a man. That's how the general public view it. So these ladies don't no longer have to put up with a diet. They don't have to the fact that naturally they carry higher levels of body fat than a man does, so getting in contest condition is harder. They have to deal with the fact that they actually use male hormones. We're using males use male hormones, but females use male hormones as well. So they're using differential hormones to what their body should have. But they also got to put this massive social stigma. That, what they're doing is against God and nature almost. So women bodybuilders get a hard fucking time as far as I'm concerned. I have a massive amount of respect for any woman that puts decent muscle mass on. Because it ain't fucking easy. And yet, they get no support from anybody. Not from the feds, not from sponsors. It's ridiculous. It really is. Anyway, just something that got on my tits when I was speaking to these girls. As a result, it doesn't look like I'm going to have a female bodybuilder in the film. Unfortunately. I don't see the point in interviewing somebody if my wings are clipped. I don't want to put half a story across. I'm not trying to sensationalise everything, but the fact is these elements of it are there. Doesn't mean everybody does it, doesn't mean everybody's involved in it, but they're still there. And there's reasons why they're there, and that's what I wanted to explore, what put these women into the position where they do what they do. Anyway, I've gone on for 8.5 minutes, so I suppose that's enough of a rant for this morning. I better get my arse in gear and get some food down my throat. So I'll speak to you guys soon.